Our little granddaughter, Vivian, expects us to dress up for Halloween, which we don't usually do, but because she wonders what we're going to be, we decided we need to dress up.
I think initially it's a shock, and you go, oh, this changes everything in a way. And then what does it mean? Does it mean, how much longer do I have?
Yeah.
But it seems like the extreme feminists will say that any occupation you want to do is fine, unless you want to be a wife and mother.
What Bob's, I'm not wearing this. Bob's going to wear this. And it comes complete with pants and this medieval, if I can get it, shirt. Can't really see it. It's got the lace-ups here. Even boots. You can imagine. Me, I didn't have anything. So we went out and got some simple thing. Tiara and this cape. Because she likes princesses, I'm going to be a princess. We got some gifts for our grandkids and our daughter and son-in-law. Hope they like them. Doesn't Bob look great? As usual. Everybody, we're driving to Chicago to see Cherry and her family. Here's Bob driving the car. We're just sitting here driving. We thought we could answer a question that just got sent to us, and it was interesting. So we thought, yeah, I've got Bob here, so he can do the psychological part too. So the question was from one of our viewers, I guess we should say, is why are extreme feminists dangerous? Because we have indicated that, said that, and the other question she had was, she, I think, mistakenly thought that we were against women working, which is not. It must be confused with some other movement. We're not. We just are supportive of women putting their family first, which doesn't mean that you're not working, because sometimes, Bob works still, he's not retired, and I feel absolutely number one for him, even though he goes to work. It's what's in your heart.
Well, I guess really when your children are little, it's not necessarily, for 30 years or something. It's when the children are small, you put an emphasis on that, because we believe families are so central, so important, so basic as a unit of society and of civilization.
Well, but there's many women who have to work for many reasons. I've known many of them, and you can even when your children are small, there's women who have no choice, and they must work for a variety of reasons. Sometimes they're widows, sometimes they're divorced, sometimes their husband has other problems where he needs her to work, and it's more of a matter of attitude. Many women have to do what they have to do. It's where your heart is really about working, and when what we say is when your children are small, if you can, it sure is more ideal if you are there, because children, unlike pets of any kind, you can't just, they don't just need someone to feed them and put them to bed and that's fine. They need to be raised. They need to be taught morals, how to do things. They need to be taught manners, what's right and wrong, responsibility. Human beings have to be raised, not just cared for. And that's part of civilization, which is so core. But back to this main question about why are extreme feminists dangerous. We define extreme being the stuff that we have seen all too often is, first of all, they are for and support unlimited, unconditional abortion, which is the killing of one's own child. And first of all,
in some cases, even up to the actual birth of the child, they decide where they're living.
Yeah, there's extreme feminists. Now that means extreme, not all, of course. It means they believe and think that a woman should have unlimited right, and not just that, but if you back up, by far the most women who seek or want abortions are single. They're not married. A few married couples have to, but more often married couples either use birth control or they deal with it if they have a surprise pregnancy. They're not the ones who primarily do this. So first you're talking about single women who are having unprotected sex, which is not great for civilization either, not good for them. It's dangerous for our hearts, for our families, all of it. It's just a dangerous way to live. So there's that. And abortion is really against families and civilization. It's the idea too that one's child is property that they own.
And women have been upset about feeling like they've been considered property.
Yeah, the early suffragettes that were campaigning to get women's right to vote, they were against that abortion, partly because they fought so hard to not feel like they were property. They didn't believe that one's child is ever one's property, whether it's born or unborn. It also supports sex trafficking. We could get all into that, but we don't really have time here.
How about anti-men?
Okay, extreme feminists are anti-men.
And anti-family.
And anti-family. And that's dangerous for civilization. What Bob and I do is we like to think of, say, a situation like abortion. If everybody did it, what would the world be like? It's anti-civilization if everyone did it. But go to the opposite, and if everyone was, let's say everybody was honest. If everyone was honest, there would be no prisons. There would be no justice system, because everyone would just say, yes, I hit that person with my car accidentally, I'm sorry, and you just take care of it. There would be everyone would have a lot more money. We'd be a lot more financially prosperous, all of us, if everyone were just honest.
What about responsibility?
If everyone were responsible, oh my gosh, think how good that would be. So then you can take it from the negative from the positive. If everybody...
What a job. Trying to work. I'm not talking about disabled people, but I'm just saying if everybody tried to find some productive thing they could do and help pay the bills, and just a responsibility issue. Well, I guess that could apply to kids too. Taking responsibility, that's a great thing for everybody. It's good for me, it's good for you, it's good for the world, it's good for the future, and it was good in the past, and it will be in the coming years. So that's a good thing. If everybody does it, it works. Now, if you say, okay, if everybody does dishonesty or murder,
if everyone murders, and that's okay, the whole world would be a disaster, and we all know that. But let's say, what if every woman were anti-man? It's terrible for civilization.
We're anti-family.
Anti-family. It doesn't work. The other issue with extreme feminists, we're talking about the extreme ones, is the idea of gender fluidity, that one's gender is a matter of choice and it isn't anything to do with biology. That's anti-woman and anti-man right there. And the other one that we listed was the idea of they think that you should have equal outcome as opposed to equal opportunity.
I'm all for equality, just not equal outcome. It's like we say, like a NBA basketball team has to have an equal number of males, females, or races that just doesn't work. It just doesn't work.
Yeah, and people don't really try to change that because instinctively they know it's not going to work. What if all athletes had to be the exact same height? It just cannot work. Or everyone has to have, because there's inequality in looks, in height, in
intelligence, hard work.
Yeah, so you cannot have equal outcome. It doesn't work, and trying to do it would just be chaos. So,
well, I remember one of the things you said to me, I thought was interesting. It seemed like the extreme feminists will say that any occupation you want to do is fine, unless you want to be a wife and mother. Now, you can, of course, honor and work really hard, impress your boss, and really take good care of your work, your job or your employment. But if you do the same thing for your husband and your children, somehow that's considered demeaning or under your potential. That's ridiculous.
We're talking, again, I keep saying about extreme feminism, because there's all different kinds, but some of the extreme stuff I've heard is just outrageous, and that's why it's dangerous. It's dangerous for civilization. It's dangerous for us.
Well, I like the statement you put in your book that the more radical the feminist, the weaker she is, because she's a victim. Well, she's a victim, and she's not happy with anything.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, because a lot of radical feminism is about being a victim, and anytime you're in a victim position, you're weak, or you feel weak. You feel like, I can't do anything about this. People are mean to me.
Somebody else has the power.
Somebody else needs to change it so that I can be happy, and that's kind of the crux of the whole thing. Is we don't like being in a victim position, and the victim position is largely in our head.
Well, there's a lot we each can do to make things better. And I know that you always say, well, you were taught as a young person that you should leave a room or people better because you were there.
You can. My mother, she was. Oh, it's the cupboard we're bringing for Cherry and her family. It's back there. See,
lots of bumpy roads.
Yeah, we're bringing it up for her.
Buckboard. Yeah.
Yeah, we're not actually in a covered wagon, but sometimes it feels like it, because it is bumping a little bit. And this is a freeway, but oh well.
Okay, so we wanted to sit down with you guys and ask you about what's been going on with Dad's health. We've been talking about it a little bit on Instagram and on Facebook and stuff, and we've been a little bit more private about it, but I know, I understand that you guys kind of want to open up a little bit about it today. So first of all, do you want to tell us a little bit about why you wanted to open up about it?
Could I just say initially, we didn't know what was going on. And I was just having basically some prostate symptoms. So we started going in for checkups, and one thing leads to another. And none of this stuff is kind of cleared up overnight. You don't get answers just immediately.
Yeah.
One thing leads to another. And so I ended up in the emergency room 3 times and started getting referred from maybe an ER doctor to urology, and then they did a bunch of tests, and then they said, oh, I think we need to do a biopsy. Again, you don't know all of these steps, and they take, okay, the next appointment is next week. So you're kind of on tender hooks for a long period of time. So this has been really stressful.
Yeah.
Now, we probably don't always show that, but this has been stressful.
We wanted to talk about it because we know that anything we go through, other people go through things too. And we don't want anyone to think that our life is stress-free or perfect, or that we don't have to struggle with anything or cry or any of those kinds. Well, I'm the crier, not
Yeah.
but yeah, so.
Well, fortunately, we have a great relationship and support system. We've got an amazing family, wonderful kids. We're just really blessed in so many ways. And I've always been really healthy. That's kind of a bit of the odd part of this, because it's usually been Dixie that was in the hospital with an operation or a tubal pregnancy or a hysterectomy, or I don't know, just a lot of different things that we've been through. I've been the one on the support end, and now it's been a little different because it's Dixie on the support end, and I don't think she likes this a whole lot.
Yeah. So what is it exactly? Do you want to explain exactly what's been going on?
Yeah, all the different tests. I got biopsied, and then they said you've got prostate cancer. That's a little bit of a jolt. I mean, think, okay, and has it metastasized? So then we went through bone scans and a lot of extra testing, and they said that it's not metastasized, which is really a good. That's
huge.
That was
huge.
A good day for all of us.
That was a good day. I think we celebrated that day. We said, okay, it hasn't metastasized, because prostate cancer in men is almost as common, as a man gets older, as maybe somebody getting the flu or something.
Yeah, it's
it's
common.
so common. It's so common. You don't always know who has gone through something similar until you do it. And I've mentioned to relatives, said, oh, well, you're a little late to the party here, guy. We've been on Flomax and who knows what for some time. And, we have a couple other, brothers-in-law that have been diagnosed with prostate cancer, and one quite sort of on the mild end and been treated, and one more on the severe end, and that's a lot more serious. So I'm somewhere probably in the middle there, because I'm treatable. They're quite hopeful. They decided there was a question as to whether we should do surgery, because sometimes that's one of the ways you can treat it, but they recommended radiation treatment. So I've been going through all kinds of things. They put markers, and they do, you don't want to know all those details, but they're about ready to start the radiation treatments, and so we're
which
hopeful.
will be 9 weeks.
Yeah.
So that's about to start. So the good news is that there's a plan in place, and it's about to start. So
and it's treatable. And
good news.
The urologist, I said, can you get it all? And he said, oh yeah.
Yeah.
The reason they picked radiation instead of surgery is because he said we could take it out, but then what if we miss a few cells?
Yeah.
And this way we can get everything around.
Right.
Yeah, sometimes it doesn't look like it's spread, but there might be a little bit just right around the prostate. So he said this way we can get everything. So
tell me this, because I know a lot, like you said earlier, a lot of men go through this. This is a really common, I didn't even know how common it was until I found out, and I did all this research, and I was shocked at how common it is. So tell me this, for the other people out there that perhaps have gone through it or are going through it, what was going through your head when you found this out? Like, how did you feel when you found all this news out?
Well, it's a shock, because I've always been really healthy. I exercise. We eat carefully, and we're health conscious. We're not probably health nuts like some of our relatives have been.
So, just for background for everybody, you guys don't drink. You have never smoked. You exercise regularly, very healthy, cook from scratch, like all those kinds of things. And so you were kind of thinking to yourself, how is this? Wow, like this happened to me, and I feel like I've taken such good care of myself.
Yeah, I think initially it's a shock, and you go, oh, this changes everything in a way. And then what does it mean? Does it mean, how much longer do I have?
Yeah.
But going through this, and it's comforting, and it doesn't always work out exactly this way. But we're people of faith, and we believe in prayer, and we've had a lot of prayers for us, and we can continue to have. And I believe that that's a real source of help and positive outcome.
Yeah.
I believe so. I think that's been really something that we have found, sustaining us during this time, really.
Yeah. Mom, what about you though? When you found out, what was going on with you other than the obvious kind of, emotions? What was going on with you when you found out?
Fear. I felt like I was kind of looking into the jaws of hell.
Yeah.
Some days.
Yeah.
It was really hard for me because I thought I have a pretty good imagination, and I thought, what if this and what if that?
Yeah.
And I told him I cannot lose you. I just cannot lose you. And he said, I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to be fine. He was always very positive, but I was really scared. And it's still, if I talk about it, it's still a little hard.
Yeah.
I'm not just hopeful, I'm really positive now because everything the doctors are saying sounds like, they know what to do.
Mm-hmm.
My one brother-in-law that has a very bad case but said anywhere they did radiation, it has never come back.
Mm-hmm.
So that's
Yeah.
good.
So what advice would you have for a couple out there that might be going through this? Or if they were to go through it, what would you say would be your advice for just general advice?
Support system is just so important. I mean, I appreciate over decades, really, we've developed a support system. You're not always young kids having fun and dating. Life has a lot of learning experiences, and I know for me, I have learned through other things we've been through, because we've been through some other fairly high stress things, almost going bankrupt, and the different things that have been really stressful for us, IRS audits. There's things that we've gone through, but I think I've come to a point where I don't say, why me? I say, okay, what can I learn from this? This is a new experience, something I haven't been through, and there's lessons to be learned here.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that, I've always been quite a grateful person,
Mm-hmm.
but I think I'm even more grateful now for every day.
Yeah.
And,
I would say, from my point of view, when you're having problems with your spouse or your significant other, or whatever you want to say, I don't take Bob for granted. I don't feel like I have hardly ever taken him for granted, and this is still hard for me. Try not to take him for granted, and it'll help you accept him for who he is right now, and think I'll take him as he is right now, because what would my life be like without him? Because there's no guarantee. You could be in an accident or illness or anything. Life is not guaranteed. So look at why you married him in the first place, why you love him. And when you focus more on those things, you won't feel like, gosh, I wish all these years, or even if it was only a few years, I wish that I had appreciated him more. It's not really guaranteed. Even though it feels like it, it's not.
Well, even how you guys said earlier, it's just so surprising. It was surprising to hear this news with no other symptoms. You didn't have a deteriorating kind of health condition that was like, oh, this might be a symptom of something else. It was kind of like sudden.
All of a sudden.
Yeah.
Well, I think it was even a shock to some of you kids.
Yeah.
It's like, not Dad. I mean, he's healthy.
The other thing is, we have to say, it was actually a blessing that he had the problem with his prostate, because if he hadn't had that problem that had nothing to do with cancer, they wouldn't have found it.
Right.
And it might have metastasized. So we're grateful that even though he was in the ER because he had that problem was not related to the cancer.
Well, you can have prostate problems, like an enlarged prostate,
and
symptoms, and not have cancer.
Yeah.
And so in a way, they're not necessarily related, but this set up a chain of events of finding something
Otherwise,
out.
he wouldn't have had symptoms at all.
Yeah.
So we find out maybe before it could have gotten to a place where there really is a lot less hope.
Right.
And so we appreciate that. We feel like we kind of were,
warned.
give them a little warning, give a little advance notice.
Or do that,
I would say get help, go check it out. Don't avoid it, because I think sometimes we tend to avoid dealing with something if we don't like the sounds of it. So he's
Well, it's
like,
embarrassing.
I don't
Well, we
It's
don't
embarrassing.
we don't like going to the dentist because we don't want to hear bad news, and we don't like going
We
to the
don't
doctor
wanna-
all the time to get checks because it's not comfortable. But
It's embarrassing to us,
Yeah.
especially if it's your arm. Who cares? But if it's anywhere embarrassing in your body, you're not particularly wild about that.
right,
So
right.
But I've felt we've actually had people in the group even sending prayers, and
we appreciate
you know,
that.
and we appreciate that.
Yeah,
I
very
really do.
much.
I appreciate that. We have a lot of family and
Mm-hmm.
friends and stuff that are supportive, and that really makes a difference in a.
Yeah, the
Tough
prayers that came with your posts were just so overwhelming. And
Appreciate
just
it.
I loved
I love
that was amazing.
I
Appreciate
appreciate that
Yeah.
so
We really
much.
do. We're
Just-
grateful for anyone that has done that,
Yeah.
and we
Yeah.
appreciate your continued prayers.
Yeah, and
I've always been a person of faith, but I think
you don't talk about it very much.
well, it's because it's personal.
Mhm.
But I think that really our dependence on God, whatever our religion is, our dependence on God is very much real. Because, like I said, we don't control very much here. We when we feel healthy and everything's going well, we feel in control. But in reality, I mean, we live in the Midwest. Even a big tornado could come in. I mean, anything could happen that could take your life, threaten your loved ones, anything. And our dependence on God for so many things, because we don't know much. And so when you realize how little you know, but my dependence on God and His caring for us has really been even more real than it was before.
Yeah, and that's true for me. You know, I think we have probably prayed more sincerely and more deeply, and maybe even more frequently. Although I think we're both regular at that, but
we personally praying together is a big part of our relationship, and it's very personal. And so it's just us, and we do it every day. Who would you pray with? Somebody that you emotionally trust, and we do, and we don't make it part of Fascinating Womanhood because it is a faith thing, and we had to take some of that out because we're helping people who are of so many different religions and so many different customs and ideas about things, but because the principles of Fascinating Womanhood are true principles no matter who you are. They don't all know about feminine power and charm and some of the things that we have that are unique to Fascinating Womanhood, but that's only because they don't know about it. But they're still true principles, and that's why we teach them.
Thank you for opening up about it so much today. I know it's really personal. It's
Yeah,
been
it
a
is.
hard thing to discuss, but I think it's great that you are both opening up about it because, like you mentioned earlier, it is a common health concern, and there are so many people out there that are probably grateful to hear your story and to feel like they're not alone.
And there's
So
other
this
health
is-
concerns. Somebody may have diabetes. They may find out that, and their life changes because their diet has to
Yeah.
change. And maybe insulin dependent. They might find out they have MS or
heart problems,
heart problems or anything. There's all kinds
car accidents,
Strokes.
head injuries, strokes. Yeah.
strokes, all kinds of stuff, heart attacks, just all kinds of things that happen to people. And
I know early on, I think someone made a comment that we were going through some health problems, and I noticed there were people saying, you know, what's going on?
Yeah.
And so, because we were kind of not sure ourselves,
Right.
and now we know more. I think we know more, and we've got a plan.
he's in the
and
process
we're
now.
moving forward
Yeah.
with it. So,
Yeah.
and that's good.
Yeah.
princess now, not a cob of corn.
Yeah, she's a princess.
I bought these.
You got those?
Yeah.
Those are good. That's good.